Round two, fight. Listen, this is the second time we've had to film this in the course of 2 weeks because of some technical difficulties with my MacBook. But I think that was God saying, redo that, son, with your good friend, Mr. Titan Capri, as we give you a love letter to the phenomenal show that has honestly saved a lot of our quarantine days, Lovecraft Country.
Quarantine.
You ready, Titan, to talk about this for just a couple of...
I am ready. I have my PPE, well, part of it, on because what we're about to do is about to spray some people.
Spray some people. I'll listen. I am covered in the cloth. Okay, so and this one is not meshable, so there won't be too much of a leak, but I will give you a little dampness for this.
And that part. And that part.
Cue my theme music. Listen. Yeah. Yes, God. Oh. Get that out of there. Hey everybody, it's your boy Matty Rants, and I'm here with a special guest today, Mr. Titan Capri. I was a guest on his wonderful show. We had a Friday morning real good spiel, and that link will be provided in the description, but he will be joining me today as we talk about a great show and probably some other shows later on down the line and movies too, with Lovecraft Country. So we're going to start off with our social medias first. And I was checking you on the miming skills, my brother, making sure we were still right at the money. Okay, it was right there. Okay. So for me, if you'd like to find me on my social media pages, that's at MattyRants on both Instagram and Facebook, at MattyRants on Twitter. If you'd like to donate to the channel because I'm poor, you can donate by Cash App, $MattyRants, Venmo, MattyRants, and PayPal.me/MattyRants. Yes, I'm in the job market. Yes, I'm doing what I need to do. Yes, I still do YouTube. And yes, I'm cute and my hair is fly too. So, Titan Capri, now that I'm feeling myself, it's time for me to give some of you to these people. Where can they find you at? Ooh.
Yes. Well, hold on. Let me come out of this protective gear just for a moment because I want to make sure that you all can hear me.
And now he's sick. No.
And everybody's sick. Everybody. I want to say thank you to Matty Rants for having me on. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Titan Capri. It's at Titan Capri on all social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, all of that good stuff. Come and check me out. And then also $ Titan Capri on Cash App, just in case you want to bless a brother with a little song.
Listen. They say a closed mouth don't get fed, and if I don't put this hand out, you'll never know if they're gonna slap something in it or not. So we just gotta.
And y'all, for the visually, y'all can see that I got a whole lot of experience, so my mouth has not been closed.
Well, you're still in Texas, so you're being fed right.
That part.
Quick backstory for those of you who haven't seen everything. I, once upon a time, not long ago, worked at a bank. And Titan Capri was my trainer. He taught me everything. Then we sat next to each other for the rest of the time I was there for the 3 years, and then I quit. And then he quit. And then we was like, what about this?
Oh, boy, don't start.
First of all, Titan, you know I've been making up songs since you met me. So,
yes.
Boop.
Yes.
But yeah, a long time ago, we worked at a bank together, and Titan was my trainer and taught me a lot. He taught me when I got my promotion, he was my trainer too. Like there was a lot that happened there. When I eventually became a mentor in the training department, and guess who pulled me into their class? This Titan Capri over here. So we got history. Almost 5 years now of experience and time that we've known each other here. So this is my good friend. Actually, I would say more than 5 if you really want to go there. I think I left the company in 2015. Yeah. More than 5 years. So this is my good friend, and you will respect him and love him just like I do. And that's just that on that. Okay. All right. Kisses. This is not about Drag Race. This is not about Pose. This is not about any of the shows that I normally cover, but this is about a show that I have fallen in love with and wanted to respect fully by giving it its
Yes.
time today, and that is Lovecraft Country.
Ooh, Lovecraft.
I mean, but no, you have to sing the song at the end of the episodes. Folks see a man, they want to
Okay.
run to. That's like, it's in my playlist just because of this show.
Yes. So this is what kills me. These shows, True Blood. I can't think of another show. They have these crazy songs that you really would not listen to, but because of the show, you're like, oh, at the
Oh,
thing,
this is the
cinnamon,
jam.
cinnamon.
Yes. Night and day. I'm like, what is happening? But I
I'm
love it.
saying,
And
and
also,
normally I would click off, Matthew. Normally, Matty, I would click off, done. But I sit there and listen to the whole credits roll.
me and my roommate turn it up because we start to sing it like folks see a man, they want to. Now now we're just gushing at this one little small snippet of the show. Like that's nothing. That's the end credits music. Okay. To give you a brief rundown of what Lovecraft Country is, a young Black man with a sort of a imagination with science fiction and fantasy has gotten a letter after being out in a war and having to come back home to find where his father is. He ends up meeting up, of course, with his uncle and a woman who was once in his life that was growing up with, and they end up going on this journey to find his father. Along the way, they sort of realize that this map or this route that they're taking is based on certain levels of a book or a novel that was written by H.P. Lovecraft. And there are elements in this show that are a part of that story or the stories that H.P. Lovecraft has created. Now, a lot of people know H.P. Lovecraft was extremely racist, extremely misogynistic, just any sort of phobia you can think of. That man was like, hi, front and center. So this show was sort of like a way of taking something that was so racist and making it our own sort of thing, and then retelling it from a different perspective to take the creative parts that this horrible man had and turn it into another story that actually gives it a different light and sort of takes away from the nastiness that was from. But even with that, upon this young man and these people finding his father, they find themselves in a much, much, much deeper situation that goes far down a line of family lineage and things taken from them, and having to own their power and also finding their self-love in a different way, whether you're being a Black woman in this time and age where things were really going down and you're trying to find your identity, or to be a young Black man who is already looked at as a certain way, trying to understand new perspectives in life, someone who's in the closet that can't come out because he can't figure out the difference between a family and family. And it goes on and on and on. And each episode, a new monster is sort of shown, but maybe in a different form.
Right.
Whether it's through Christina and her, I'm nice, but I'm not really nice. I'm only nice because I need things done for me nice. Or it's the police. We're dealing with that police brutality today. They're showcasing examples of, while maybe fictional moments, I don't know if someone's spit on someone and used a spell for Topsy and Bopsy to run around on someone, but you know how the police were treating Black people this time. We also have the Black women's struggle. I have to put that almost like out there because you witness Hippolyta's journey into self-discovery, Letty and Ruby's relationship as sisters, one light skin, one dark skin, the complications of that relationship. The show had a lot of layers. It ended incredibly. Some people felt a little shorthanded because it was like, it's all rushed so much, but the story is utilizing a central Black cast in a science fiction, fantasy, magic-based setting, and that has never been the case, where we have been the leads and not the token sides.
Say that.
That's why this was a great show. for me. But yeah, we wanted to talk about a couple of things with the show today and give you our perspective on it, why we think you should watch it. If you don't have HBO, get it. You know what I mean? The first episode's free on YouTube if you need like just one run through of it. But yeah, we're going to talk about that today. So thank you, Titan, for being here. And yeah, so I want to ask you, Titan, like, give me some things about this show. We don't have to go in order episode by episode because this is not that review, but what specific things for you stuck to your ribs? They stuck to your ribs real good and still sit with you now. Like, that was something I appreciated from the show.
So really two things that really stuck out, which I love sci-fi, fantasy, all of that good stuff. Two things that really stood out was the relationship between Montrose and Tick, the father-son, the father that was never really there, right? The son that was longing for the father, but was getting beat by the father, to come full circle and truly find out what Montrose really was struggling with. And those were the two things, that Montrose had been closeted his whole life because he was trying to be a man and be a father to the very son that really did not like him because he treated him so badly. But he only knew how to treat him so he wouldn't become like him in that aspect.
Oh, spoiler alerts, because we will be giving things away. Yeah. The show's been out for some time now. If you haven't caught up with it, that's your fault. Montrose was not Tick's father. And this was sort of hinted in the the second episode, with his uncle George. George was his father. And Aaron hit that's the nail on the head for me too, with their relationship, because we know that relationship. That relationship is very relatable, especially around that time growing up. Hell, when I was growing up, I was born in the 80s and I'm still dealing with that type of stuff with my father. But he wasn't closeted. He was just a crazy man. But with Montrose, well, I'm glad you brought this up. For Tick, it was the initial never understanding why he was so mean, but that's just his way, to then finding out that he was closeted, and then Tick asking, if you were going through all that, why were you taking it out on me? And who are you? And did you even love my mother? Causing him to be even more frustrated with what happened. But they end up, second to last episode, having to go back in time to retrieve a book to save the world type of situation. And they have to go to Montrose's past in order to save the future. And Tick got to see not only his father and his mother there, but also Montrose, the fat man who was and is still his father in a sense, and what he had to go through in it. That understanding, and that scene where Montrose was explaining why he couldn't save the man that he first fell in love with in order to have the son that he has now, with the family that he has built and kept together, even with his own struggles with alcoholism and his own addictions and everything else that was happening. That is one episode. I don't know about you, that second to last one, beyond necessary to watch, because it also shows the Tulsa massacres, the Black Wall Street's massacre, all of that is so necessary and needed for a lot of us to understand our history. And I appreciated Lovecraft for showing that in this way, while also adding this fantasy element into it with them having to
exactly. So I'm glad you said that, because I was sitting watching that episode and I was just like, okay, hold it together.
Yeah, that's Lovecraft in almost every episode. Hold it together. Hold it.
I was like, wait, what? Like that. So what really got me was that me and my father were not the closest. And I knew him only as this person. Everybody else knew him as this person. And it wasn't until I was at the hospital and he was on the ventilator that I truly realized what he meant to them, but what he wasn't to me, right? And it's a whole lot. So after his death, a whole lot came out. right? And I
Mm-hmm.
was like, oh, so this is why that happened. So me watching that episode in particular, when Tick is sitting there watching what's happening, because
Yeah.
they went back into the past, he's like, okay, so literally I've been mad and upset with you all this time, and you were trying to really protect me, right? You were really trying to be there for me the best way you know how. I think that's something there. And then one more, I want to jump in with that with Ruby. The part that got me was Ruby always wanted to be something other than a dark-skinned woman because she did not get all of the accolades. She couldn't walk into the store and be presented as somebody of wealth and knowledge because of her skin color. So
Mm-hmm.
she always wanted to know what that was like. And then when she did see the other side, she saw that although it looks good, right? These at the time, these people are nasty and vile, and they don't care for us. She didn't feel any different because the same stuff that was happening to Black women
Mm-hmm.
was happening to women, right? In
Mm-hmm.
general, it was happening to Black women faster, of course, and all the time, but the women were not on the equal pedestal. The women did not go forward. 9 times out of 10, their ideas were taken, all this type of stuff. So she goes through all of this, and then to be involved or get involved with someone that's Caucasian because she just wants to feel wanted and loved. Because you said in the beginning, her sister is light skinned, getting everything, all of that stuff, and she's getting nothing. So I think that one was kind of something to look at as well for Ruby because she always wanted to be the one that they chose, and they never
Right.
chose.
The part that Titan is referring to is, I would say, around episode 4 or 5, if I'm correct in this. And this is around when we get a little bit of Ruby's storyline. We had Letty for the first 3 episodes, and we got we got Ruby more so after this. But her relationship falls in line with, his name was William, right?
Yes.
Okay, with William, who we find out is actually Christina, which is how we find out that Christina has made a spell or a
Oh, Lord.
potion, very Hermione, very, very
Okay.
that scene in Harry Potter where they had to change their genders so they could walk.
Good.
Wasn't that just a little bit? Well, they didn't have to change their genders, but just who they were. Anywho, transfiguration spell. So they had to basically Ruby's I would say, I wouldn't say jealousy, but sort of animosity for not being able to be at the point where she is right now because of her skin color and everything that's sort of in place for her. Christina takes advantage of that because it's a sort of a way to get closer to Letty / Tick, who she needs to sacrifice in order to become immortal. Oh my God, I just gave you so much. This is the show that we're watching. So Ruby's given this potion and she's turned into this white woman. The white woman who she's turned into is actually the same person in episode 2 who was the carekeeper on the grounds of the
Yeah.
estate that the
Yeah.
those people from the order, the book or whatnot were from. And apparently after that explosion took place in the second episode, she was knocked unconscious. And well, Christina said, well, I'll just take this body and use this for my own things. And so Ruby got to be the first one to try on that new suit. But that suit doesn't last too long. It does, like Cinderella. That was a Cinderella reference. It's a Cinder. Oh my God, I'm just now catching that. Like almost by the time the clock strikes a certain amount, or she's been in it for too long,
Yeah.
the body will start to deteriorate. And I mean, literally, they're not saying that it goes away like smoke, like it does in movies, y'all. No, 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 no,
No.
no. Skin falling
This is
off.
very much egg on the concrete.
I
Like,
what a great at 99-degree weather, baby. Maybe a
yeah.
little sunny side up.
And then not only that, Matty, you hear all the sound effects.
Uh,
Sure,
oh,
the tearing of the
uh,
skin, the slopping, the
see, that was, it was like, it was almost like a butterfly, like they said, like a
yeah,
cocoon. And to think
yeah.
about it, in a sense, have you ever seen a caterpillar go into a butterfly?
Yes.
It's not pretty. And
Not at
so
all.
that was kind of legit. I said, yeah, that was pretty legit to show.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if we were going to get into some magic, I wouldn't imagine it being pretty in any kind of way. But this leads us into this plot point of realizing that William, who we met in the second episode, was actually Christina this entire time. And Christina's been using William in order to walk around as a white man in
Right.
this time of day, so she can't
Right.
be clocked, stopped, or put anywhere. On top
Right.
of that, they were lovers. Apparently, Christina and William were lovers, but her father killed him. Now that's the gag. When I was like, oh, so Christina's like, well, no, I'm gonna keep him. I need to keep him alive, and she's trying to work on a way for him, and it ended up being more self-serving for her. But you know how that goes. But yeah, Ruby's story was interesting. They even had a moment where she's jabbed a heel in some man's booty to the track of Bodak Yellow by Cardi B.
We could just give props for the soundtrack. Like this, like I love the old school, ooh, but then I love this new school, like it's 19, what was it?
I think it was the 50s.
The 50s.
Yeah,
50s.
very 50s girl. Yeah, I don't want to be, my parents were born in the 40s. So that's why I wish I was talking to my dad right now. I'd ask him if he's seen this. But if my mother was here, she'd be like, yep. Because she was Birmingham, Alabama. So
yeah, okay, yeah, most definitely.
She knew. I heard many stories about sundown towns. Many stories. And like we were talking about this the last time we recorded and then go through, there are still sundown towns to this day everywhere.
Yeah.
In Houston, where I used to live and where Titan lives, there's not far away, maybe 40 something miles outside the city. Like,
yeah, right down the road.
Yeah.
Right down. And all you have to do, ladies and gentlemen, is just Google sundown towns. And there is and this is so what's crazy about Google, that you can Google sundown towns in your area. There's still sundown towns. So if you start watching Lovecraft, and that very first time that they go and the police officer says to them, what are you doing? Where y'all getting out here? You notice it's sundown country. And yeah, it's a real thing. It's a real thing.
Yeah, and it's sad to say, but people in those towns are very proud to keep those traditions alive and well. Back to Ruby here to kind of close out her just a little bit. Ruby actually fell in love with Christina / William. And we can confirm Christina / William did the same too. And that was also a sort of a low-key relationship thing for Ruby, because we wouldn't have expected that from her, but their relationship was on a real emotional level. Like Ruby even got Christina to actually feel how Emmett Till died, and to tell her, you need to experience something about what we're facing here. And I need you to feel, that word, I need you to feel what I'm feeling, so I don't look crazy sitting here in my feelings, upset that somebody was just murdered. And you're like, it's okay. I was so here for that.
That is so much today's world, right? I love how she kept saying that I need for you to feel that. And then how Christina looked at her and was like,
what do you mean?
Like, what do you mean? And then after she went through what Emmett Till went through, she understood. She understood. So many of our Caucasian counterparts don't understand what we're going through because they have not experienced it. And that part right there was really deep for me, because she literally wanted Ruby to understand that she cares for her. So how do I care for you? I'm gonna go feel what you're talking about. And it changed her.
Now, I'm adding to that, because while that was a beautiful thing for her to do, I also was like, bish, you paid someone to do that to you. So you will never, now you felt the pain of someone beating you up, but you didn't feel the pain behind why they beat you up, why they tried to kill you. That's why I was like, that's cute. And I'm glad she did that. However, I suggest you drink the potion and turn into Ruby for a day.
How about that?
I was waiting for that. Actually, she did do that in the last episode. So who knows how long she's been walking around as Ruby. No, it was only the last episode. And that was to get Tick and them, y'all. We'll get to that.
Yeah. And you're right, because at the same cemetery, that was Ruby. That was Ruby, because Ruby did not take the book, remember?
Exactly.
Ruby
Ruby
didn't take the
went
book.
back. Okay, we gonna get there in a second.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry,
We
my
gonna get
bad.
there in a second.
My
No,
bad.
no. Hey, Titan, any more things you want to add on to this before I drop in 3 little nuggets and then get to this finale?
No, I just want to say kudos to Misha Green and Jordan Peele for really, really digging deep. I know this here's a lot of sci-fi fantasy type genre type stuff, but it was some really heartfelt stuff. Oh, and then the last part that I wanted to bring home, and I think you mentioned this, was Hippolyta. Her
I am.
her feeling as if she was not there. And so many times our Black women in particular carry the brunt of everything, but they are always, most 99% of the time, they're discarded, right? They are pushed to the side, especially in 1950, right? You as a Black woman, you could only be a maid, you could only clean up behind, you could only do this, and most of the time it was scraps for your children, right?
Ruby
You
getting
could,
that job at the not even the mall, the little shopping boutique store, whatever. There only was
I'm gonna
room
say it
for
was like
one.
Foley's or Macy's or
Yeah, it
something.
was only room for one.
And that was only because they had to do what so many of our schools did, right? So many of our communities did, because you heard them say, okay, yeah, the Blacks are moving in, but they're moving out. They're not staying, right? Come on. How many times did our children in particular get bused to somewhere else, right? Affirmative action, things like that. So only one, because Ruby went for the job, but they had to hire the one, the token, as people would say.
And she had no educational background or anything like that. And she then realized it's not just the color too, it's the physical appearance, presence, all of that with people. People judge you more than just one thing. It's multiple things that take you.
Because so in particular, Letty was smaller and light skinned. Ruby was bigger and dark skinned. Most of women of larger stature, right, were the maids, the person that kept the house, the cook, they nursed the children, they did all of that.
We're using the proper terms to describe them versus what they were called, which was not a mother, but a yes, okay.
Yeah. Exactly, that right there.
Hey, the stories I was told from my aunties. Oh, yeah. I got a 90-year-old auntie. I have stories, girl. Oh, she would be like, y'all don't even know. She's like, oh, you don't even know what we used to go through. Now it's crap, but back then it was shit. So it's like,
and that's where the whole house and the field came from, right? Because if you could pass a paper bag test, you were good.
Maybe if you was in that house,
you were good in the house. But if you were darker skinned, like I'm Ruby's color or darker, right? You were out in the field.
And you know, it's funny because this leads into a point about Tick's mother, Tick's great, I believe, great grandmother. I probably only need 2 greats to get her, but the one who ran with the book, Hannah, in the first place. You got to realize that in that same, like Aaron was saying, the house in the field, you know, they would go out and pick women who were field workers that were darker, and you know, them, and they would end up having those children that were light skinned. And you can look this up, but it would normally be the white women of the house that would end up being ones responsible for murdering children and women specifically. It was a lot of lying, a lot of, did you look at me crazy? Oh, I'll have to tell master, and all that type of stuff. So,
baby, if you want a good example, and this is for all of y'all can Google it. There is a movie called Mandingo.
No, you will not. No, you will not.
I'm telling you.
No, you will not.
All I do is take a look.
I gotta go. You will not bring that movie into. Do you know I was forced to watch that for African American studies in college? forced, and I hated every single solid. And then the book. Have you read the book that's based off of too?
Yes. That's how I first learned about the movie. No, nothing. I didn't even know nothing. So, but then this goes right back to Lovecraft. Right back to Lovecraft. This right here is just so what they have done is showed you just how vile and nasty it was. But you watch that movie, and if you can get through the whole movie without shaking your head, without being disgusted and feeling like you want to throw up, then you're a better person than I am, because in the sense of you ain't right, because that movie was so vile and nasty. There's a part in the movie, which kind of like in Lovecraft, where this older Caucasian guy takes the young boy, he looks like he's about 5 or 6 years old, maybe 7, somewhere around there, and tells him to lay down on the floor, and he puts his gout feet on the child's stomach, right? So that he can get rid of his gout. Supposedly, him putting his feet on the child's stomach was to get rid of his gout.
They thought we were magical and had healing properties in our skin, which is why they used to skin a lot of people who they were using Black people's body parts for magic and for medicinal purposes.
Come on, he was sewn together. He was sewn together in Lovecraft. Come on, you talking?
The police officer who was the one that was a part of the order had Black people's body parts on him as a way of being immortal or living or becoming bulletproof. Or if something happened to that, it would just be taken off and then put another piece of a Black person on there. There's stories about that to this day, true stories of people who died that way. That's another reason why Lovecraft was so amazing to a lot of us, because it's like they're incorporating true life stories into this fictional setting. So that way it's almost like we can relate to this without it being fully realistic, but it is realistic.
Look at the history books. Every last piece in Lovecraft Country is in the history books.
Yeah. So, not
history for real, but probably not in the book.
There are interpretations of things that happen here. I'm gonna talk about 3 things here, and then we're gonna wrap this up a little bit. With Lovecraft Country, I was happy that they did include a relationship that was not just within the heterocycle normative of things, because we as Black people, or as people in general, just everybody is way more than one note and multifaceted. I was disappointed with how they handled the Indigenous woman in the particular episode that was very much an Indiana Jones scene when Montrose slit her throat. I understood it as him doing it as a way of keeping whatever was secret, because he knew that eventually Tick would die. However, the imagery of a trans woman being slayed on television by a Black man's hands was not the best way that should have been done. So I wish that was different. Misha did apologize for it and said, yeah, we definitely overlooked that and didn't think that through, because that could have been done in so many different ways, or however they wanted to just get rid of her character or make a shock value out of it all. Even the showing of a prosthetic part of a body, because that was not real. Someone was like, was that real? Like, no, that was a prosthetic piece put on there that shouldn't have been done. That's very insulting to the trans community. So yeah, that was one thing that I had to listen to others on, because at first I was very protective of the show, but I was also like, that was a mistake. But that was my only issue with said show for this particular show. What I fell in love with was the fact that our perspectives were given out of just a male Black man's perspective. It was also given to a Black woman's perspective on 2 different sides of a coin: light skin, dark skin, bigger, older, younger. You know, you had Dee, who had a full episode of what she was facing with after losing both her parents, or at least thinking she lost both of them. And then you have, you know, like you say, Ruby's storyline with her light-skinned sister. Then there's Letty with her just trying to do the right thing, and she's always been accused of being something she's not because of how pretty she is. Listen, I know there's light skin privilege, but I'll be the first one to tell you, I have been lied on, I have been talked about, and I have been dragged through the mud because I am light skinned by my own Black brothers and sisters, because they assumed, because of what I have, that I'm already ahead of them, which in fact, visually speaking, I could be. But let's get the books out, baby. Y'all probably wear me low. I'm just saying. But it's the truth, where I can relate to Letty's situation, where she is trying to escape. there were things that she was facing. We never really gotten the full story as to what Letty's mother did to her and the difference between Ruby and them. I really want them to please get a season 2 so we can do it.
Yes,
I needed that so bad. I was like, please show us that part. But but I appreciated us going from that route. Then we have Tick. Like, Tick reminds me of my brothers. Like, I look at him, quick to anger, but wants to just do what's best, and his intentions are in the right place, but quick to anger. Quick to anger. George Freeman, I can't believe we only had 2 episodes with him. Maybe 3, a couple of flash notes inside. I was a little bit pressed because not only is Angela Bassett's husband is a great actor. I don't know his name off the top of my head. Courtney Vance, thank you. Yes. Courtney B. Vance, right? Oh, yes. I didn't recognize him at first, personally, because he's normally like very trimmed up on things. So this was a little weird take of him. But baby, when he walked into that house on the first episode after the monsters didn't eat him, baby. I was weak. I was weak at the knees. Oh, also, Letty and Journey Smollett, your track athlete time on earth has really paid off, sister, because let me tell you something. As a hurdler, as a track runner, I saw your form and it was right. Woo! Bitch ran.
she said, I'll go. I said, baby, and it was dust. It was
I gotta do it. I gotta do it. I'm fast. Remember, I was all state track. I was like, all right, let's see it. And as soon as she left that house,
baby, come on. Letty outran the monsters.
She outran that phone call too, and them heels in that first episode. Y'all better hurry up, get the hell out of here. That was actually, I think I have never laughed so hard in my life because it was so real, but it was so funny because she was moving. She could have picked up a plate and a bag to go. It would still been on the
Oh my God, that was so funny.
Got the car going. I'm driving, girl. No, you get in the back. Because remember how they were talking to her in the beginning, girl. And she's like, my name is Letitia fucking Lewis.
Again, here we go with the men, even black men, right? They were superior.
You gotta give them credit. You don't know how powerful someone is until you put them in the situation. And Hippolyta, literally, this part, that's like we were just talking about with her episode, I Am. Like there was this machine that was found in a house that Christina was trying to get a hold of, but Hippolyta got it first. And it actually held a key, but it had to be solved like a puzzle. And of course, Hippolyta, who has discovered constellations but never been given the credit for her being a black woman. It's like, no, we won't say she did it. It's like, what? Really? That key brought her to the observatory, to where she then opened a portal into time, where she could jump into different portions of time, space, and reality. Those are my favorite types of science fiction stuff, where the possibilities are infinite in thinking. And those are always the ones that slip people up the most. Like, it made no sense. I'm like, it wasn't supposed to, because it was supposed to be infinite in the possibilities. As to what we are creating our own thoughts of what this movie should be based on the layout they gave us. So in Hippolyta's case here, where she went were the places she needed to go to find her inner strength. Yes. And as she continued to travel through these spaces, she became knowledgeable of everything. You know, she at one point in time was on some sort of space station nest with a giant-esque woman with a giant afro who was everything.
Yeah.
Who are you?
Okay.
Who are you? I was like asking myself that question. Who the fuck am I? We then end up in the same era of Josephine Baker, and she then gets to dance with Josephine Baker and also see how Josephine was treated at the time and what it was like to be a person of color in a different country and not in the USA. And then we get thrown into an African warrior tribe of women. It's a real tribe. It's one of the longest lasting ones to ever be. I had to look this up. I probably have this a little bit off in my misinformation, but y'all know what I'm talking about.
Lovecraft went in. I'm telling you.
It was like, what is happening here? And she ends up being given the choice of going back to her daughter or to continue to travel. But mind you, we were only given 3 pieces of what Hippolyta went through. So that's why I felt like she went multiple places.
Exactly. And
But
she says it later on.
right, but this is what was beautiful about it, is when she came back and she was having the conversation about what she chose to do. She said, "What is your name and who are you?" And she goes, "I am Mother."
Mother.
So her main role that she has chosen, even though she can do anything and everything she wants to do,
Yeah.
is to be a mother to her child and make sure her baby is raised and taken care of, and that she now has all the things needed. And when Dee needed her most, after being cursed by those police officers with the horrible Bopsy and Topsy, the play on Uncle Tom's Cabin, y'all can look it up. It's horrible, but
But wait, Maddie.
saved a daughter's arm.
But wait, Maddie.
Wait, hold on. We getting to the Bopsy Topsy episode now?
Okay. Go ahead and finish, because baby, I just wanted to call.
I'm a lead into that, because that's gonna be my third thing with the monsters. But to give her daughter her arm back by then teaching her something to help her draw again. Like, she did what she was going to do, and Hippolyta came back, and it was amazing. Also, shout out to the Corinthian blue reference that we got from the first episode's comic, with her hair is blue. And then when she had to save all of them by going back in time and using her body as an actual energy transference, her hair turned blue, becoming Corinthian blue. Wow. So, in my last little bit to this, where I know Titan's going to jump in here, is one of my favorite things about Lovecraft Country was the monsters that were used.
Yes.
And how they were used, and also the power that was given to Tick later on using said monsters in a specific situation. A lot of what H.P. Lovecraft created was very visual depictions of monsters or horrifying things. And we got to see some of those things get brought to life in specific ways, as well as interpretations by this from Blacks who are creative in the science fiction realm of things. But Bopsy and Topsy was the toughest one to watch. Titan, I don't know about you. That episode, I mean, it was already about Emmett Till, so it was already like, ooh. But then you got what Dee was going through, the fact that this police officer spit on her and then put this horrible spell. And then to see the image of this character Topsy from Uncle Tom's Cabin being brought to life, as well as the depiction of a white girl being taken by this black girl and turned into the same thing, which was Bopsy, and Dee being chased down by them, and the dancing that happened with it. I mean, they were cutting up, but it was like, oh my God. And the multiple horror movie references in that episode, Nightmare on Elm Street, like, it was just very, very that. So that's the one episode I can't go back to. I'm going to be real with you. I can watch them all, but that one I'm like, oof, I don't know if I can deal with that one again.
So I like the episode for a couple of particular reasons, right? It is true to form. It is part of our history. It is from Uncle Tom's Cabin. But the reference was, in anything that you think about nowadays, just think about now. Anything that's Black is bad. Anything that's Black is bad, right? So, of course, in Uncle Tom's Cabin, the Bopsy and Topsy, of course, they're chasing her down or turning her into something because they're basically bad. So when he puts the spell on her, right, or the curse, if you would, he's saying, basically, you're bad, so I'm going to turn you into what my idea or what our idea of bad is. And a lot of people don't even know about Uncle Tom's Cabin, right? Because that's just true to form. So number one, I love how Lovecraft kept going back in history and making sure that we understood what our history was, not what we were taught, because what we were taught is totally different, but what our history was. The second part, now I got to give it to the two actors or actresses that were in that role. They were bucking, they were dropping, they were J-setting, they were doing all type of things, right?
They scared me. That's the best part of it. They scared me while they were still throwing an 8 count out for the rest of the girls.
Exactly. But it was so authentic. And then even at the end, when the one on the left actually gets Dee, Dee's arm. The one on the right basically does this. Like, she was mad because her counterpart got her first and she didn't have a chance to get her. But the part that got me was when Dee was fighting with them with the bat and Montrose couldn't see them, but Dee could see them. Dee was running away from the very image that they had painted of us.
You mean how like they like to bring up old facts about past stuff from your history that you've already, been forgiven, worked hard to get back on, but then they have to use it as an example as to why something was done to you, almost to be like, well, had they not been doing that, like with Miss Breonna Taylor's situation, and well, she shouldn't have been there in the first.
So I just watched look. Okay, we're gonna stay on Lovecraft, but
I feel you.
Uncle Tom's Cabin was not something to base your life on or anything like that, but that's where the Bopsy and Topsy came from. That's you need to know this. Like Samuel
L. Jackson in Django Unchained is the personification of Uncle Tom.
That part. Misha and Jordan, and then with Lovecraft, they took us through Black history.
Oh, they did.
Real Black history.
Good 50s, a good 50s callback to things that were happening here. The season, because they're not even calling it a series finale because they don't know if it's going to come back or not, but the season finale ended with Christina getting her way of course, needing to sacrifice Tick for the immortality that she was looking for. However, they do get the book through an ancestral part of this. I know we forgot to talk about it a little bit, but I just want to touch on that. Tick's family had held the book, but of course the house was burned down in the riots that happened, which is why they had to go back in time, but they did retrieve the book to bring it back. And in this getting the book, they had an ancestral space that Hannah created for her family. So that way, when it came time for them to do what they need to do, which is what Christina didn't know, they would be ready. And which is to bind all magic from white people who were using it to hurt and harm Black people and people of color. So once Christina sacrificed Tick, after this incredible scene, I don't want to give too much away in that moment, but dramatics. Christina thinks she's won and she hasn't, and her magic ends up being bound, and it completely sets the stage for a whole new setting of what could possibly be. I really am trying not to tell you too much about the final 2 episodes because they are so intense, and it's like, oh, what are they going to do after this? I mean, we didn't even discuss Tick's girlfriend that was in Korea, her storyline. There was a whole episode about that, and especially the demon that was possessing her and her coming back there to save him. And I mean, there's so much in this show.
So I want to say this. I don't want to go deep into anything else.
Yeah.
But I just want to say this. The Lovecraft Country gave you that it broke down the characters separately, right? Isolated them, right? And then brought them all back together. So every person that you see in the very first episodes, 1 and 2, you see them all the way through. Now they go, except for but literally they are all there and they all tie together. What is funny about this is that it shows you just how you had to band together. This woman, right, was being treated the same way we were being treated back home, right? In American Soul. He was being treated that way by Black soldiers. So it's like you're sitting here saying, wait a minute. And then she even said it in one part. She said, but they do you the same way.
Because when it's wartime and they're asking for our bodies, now we don't see any color. But then when we get back home, it's back to the same old stuff again, which is interesting to see. And she literally had to watch her best friend be murdered in front of her, then had to heal and get Tick back to good health again, was planning to kill him with her demonic powers, but then found empathy because of the love, because she still had herself, her human piece of her inside of her. Y'all, the last time we recorded was 2.5 hours of footage because that's how much of this show there is. So I'm going to stop us here so I can let y'all enjoy this show yourselves.
Yes, okay? Please watch. And then let us know.
Comment section, if you watch this season, you know what to do. I enjoy paragraphs and essays.
Let's go.
Absolutely.
Let's go.
Tell us what you thought about this show. What parts did we miss out on today? Because again, I'm trying to keep this short of the water. But what parts of the show really hit you the most? What do you think they could improve on? What was, I guess, your favorite scene? If you had an ability in the show, what would it be? Are you hoping for a season 2? What else would you like to see on TV? You know what I'm saying? So yeah, there you go.
And here's another thing, ladies and gentlemen, please do not start at episode 5. Go to episode 1. Start at 1 so you get the foundation, and then go through. You will not be disappointed. You will not be.
Yeah, please do yourself a favor. Do not mid-season start it. This is not a show. This is not a mid-season start show. This is not that. You will be lost. You will be, if you would just start on I Am. You'll be like, what is happening?
Don't do it. Protect yourself. Make sure that you are good.
Okay, listen, I'm gonna do this. I don't have my face guard up. You know, I'm not on that normal anomaly pay check here. You know, I'm not on that. I'm not on that situational tease.
Okay,
but
that's it. I love this. I love this. I love it. Ladies and gentlemen, the love of Lovecraft. Y'all go check it out. Me and Matty are just, just old friends, and we crazy like that. But yes, please let us know. Please let us know, because we want to know about that. And I'm sure me and Matty will come back some other time and, do a little something. But yeah.
Well, hey friend, I got a 30-day free subscription to Shudder app because of the Dragula show I watched. So if you like my login and if you want to do some horror movies before this month is over with, let's do it. I'm free this week. So there you go.
Yes.
Well, okay. Well, no, yeah, we'll talk about that actually. But yeah, okay. Listen, thank you so much for tuning into the channel. We appreciate you for being here. I'm at home, so I can take this off and no one's in front of me. Do me a favor, hit this like button, share this video, and subscribe to the channel if you're new here. Also, please go to my good friend page, Thought to Ponder, here on YouTube. Share, like, and subscribe. Watch his videos. He has a lot of great conversations with a lot of good people. And yeah, you may catch him again. Yeah, you probably will catch him again, as we probably do some movie reviews specifically, because that's what me and him used to do when I lived in Houston. That was my movie buddy. What was it? Regal Theaters, that expensive ass ticket. We go there before 12 for the $5 show.
Okay.
I missed it
all the time. Oh, Matthew, I want to go back to the movies with you so bad.
Friend, $5 days we used to go, and we would get like we go out to eat afterwards, because we would talk about said occasion and what we just witnessed here, and go our merry little way and see each other at work the next day.
How about that?
And talk about it like everyone's like, we wish we could join you. Y'all talk through movies, so it's not gonna happen. All right. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hugs and kisses, our best love and wishes. It's your boy, Matty Rants, with my good friend, Titan Capri. This has been a love letter to Lovecraft Country. We hope you're having a great day. Stay safe, vote, exercise your rights, and love yourself. We'll talk to you later.